Hi everybody, this is a comparison of the Blue Snowball Ice with two other microphones, the Dynex DX USB Mic 13 and the Plantronics C320M. I'm doing this because I'm wanting to have a new microphone and I'm trying to find out which will work best for me. But hopefully this will help others as well. So for this presentation, I will do it in kind of a reverse order. I'll kind of give you some of the conclusions and then show you a lot of the different tests and how I have my system set up so that if all you want is the results, you can see that quickly. But if you're really interested in hearing the different sound files, then you can see that later. So for me, I am going to go with the Blue Snowball Ice.
Wait a minute. When listening to this playback, I notice that there's some popping sound when I use the Blue Snowball Ice. I haven't noticed the same thing with the Plantronics. Now, Level Meter has an audibility control, so I'm going to play with that. But right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the Snowball or the Plantronics. Okay, carry on.
And I have to use it with Voicemeeter, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But my settings for Voicemeeter are 10.4 dB. Blue Snowball Ice does have fairly low input, and so we have to boost it up. And for the IntelliPan, I have it set down a little bit below the center. And just to give you a little comparison, for the Blue Snowball, it has lower input, so I have to boost it up. For the Plantronics, the input is better, and so I don't have to boost it as much. But the reason I've decided to go with the Snowball is I just didn't want to have to wear a headset. So I'll explain a little bit more about my particular system and what I'm looking for later on, but let's go ahead and jump into the sound comparisons. This is the Dynex USB Mic 13 Mono. This is the Blue Snowball sitting on the desktop. Mono. This is the Blue Snowball with me holding it very close to my mouth.
This is the Plantronics 320M Mono.
Okay, so what I learned from this first set of tests was that my old mic, the Dynex, has a lot of background noise. I noticed that the Blue Snowball has very low input. Unless you put it very close to your mouth, you're probably going to be disappointed just trying to record directly from it sitting on your desk. The Plantronics, though, on the other hand, has pretty nice input just straight as it is. However, I really want to have a microphone that can just sit on the desk, and so the next set of tests are going to be with the Voicemeeter program. And I got that software from VB Audio Software. I'm not going to go through the description of how to set this up and how to use it. There are many other videos about that, but I'm just showing you what I have. This is what the site looks like, and again, you see Voicemeeter.
So now we're doing the Plantronics C320M with video capture using Voicemeeter. Voicemeter is set to about 2 dB, and we're trying to keep the dB around -5 on the output.
So this is the Blue Snowball Ice, and we have it going through video capture and using Voicemeter. Voicemeter is set to 6.4 dB, giving us about a -5 dB output. So now we're showing the Dynex with using Voicemeter now, going through that with video capture. At Voicemeter we have the dB set to 1.4 and we're trying to keep it around -5 dB, but you'll notice that it fluctuates quite a bit. Okay, so now that we've done the basic testing and you've seen what they sound like, I want to just go through the goals that I have for what I'm looking for, since yours could be different. Mainly, I'm interested in doing quick tutorials. So for me, it's all about easy, because I just want to take a few minutes and create a quick tutorial without a whole lot of hassle. And specifically, that means that I don't want to do editing for most situations. I have Audacity, and I could do the editing if I wanted to, but it just takes more time, and like I said, I'm looking for easy. Along those lines, I don't want to use any extra equipment. I don't want to have to worry about a pop filter or an extension arm and have that microphone right in my face. So I'm looking for something that I can just set on the desk. So, in addition to that, with the mic sitting on the desk. It's about 1.5 feet from my mouth. Of course, with the Plantronics, it's a headset, so it's right next to my mouth. And finally, the goal for me is an inexpensive system. So because I can set the Blue Snowball on the desk, that's why I'm choosing that one, although the Centronics is very close. Now, later on, I'm going to show some samples about how, using Voicemeeter, I can change the sounds of the microphones. So while you may have noticed a difference in the timbre or tone of the microphones, you can change that and have the Snowball and the Plantronics sound almost the same. And before I show the last set of audio tests, let me first show what I have set up for the sound. In the recording devices, I click on the microphone, click on properties and levels, and the microphone is all the way up. So that's how I had all the tests set up. And in the advanced tab, I have it set up to DVD quality. Okay, so the rest of the video will be some testing showing using Voicemeeter, and especially with this IntelliPan. So as I move this around, you will probably notice the difference in sound as I move things around on the panel. So that's what the rest of the tests will be comparing.
Some final points as I consider the Snowball versus the Plantronics. I noticed that the longer that I record with the Snowball, I hear some popping and clicking. Now, that's not a result of me speaking into the microphone. It's a regular, consistent popping at a regular rhythm. So as I try things out a little bit more, it may force me to switch to the Plantronics. Also, because the Snowball is not right next to my mouth, it does pick up the keyboard clicks. And along those lines, I have to boost the gain because its input is so low. Now the Plantronics, that's what I'm recording at now, using that one, so you can kind of compare that. But its disadvantage for me is that it's a headset. That's not too bad, but I just don't like the feeling of that for any extended period of time. And it tends to have a flat sound. But, like I said, with the Voicemeeter, you can make changes to that. So let's look at how you can make changes with Voicemeeter. So the rest of the video is a detailed comparison of the IntelliPan settings for Voicemeeter. I have that so I can compare what it sounds like on the different devices. If you're interested in that, keep watching. Otherwise, I've already told you the main points. Enjoy! Finding the sweet spot for the Plantronics microphone. We'll start in the center. Now we'll move to the voice quadrant to the upper left. So here we're at the upper left of the top left quadrant. Upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now the upper right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now to the lower right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the lower left quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now to the color panel, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the upper right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Lower right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now to the lower left quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now to the high quadrant, upper left, starting with the upper left. upper right, lower right, and lower left. To the upper right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now the lower right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now the lower left quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now to the low quadrant, upper left quadrant. Upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Upper right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Lower right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now lower left quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now for the center area. The center of the voice panel, upper center, center of color panel, right center, center of the high panel, lower center, center of the low panel, lower left center, and finally back to the very center of a telepan.
Sweet spot for the blue snowball ice, starting in the middle. Now moving to the voice quadrant. Upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now to the upper right of the voice quadrant. We start in the upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now in the lower right of the voice quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now the lower left of the voice quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the color panel quadrant, to the upper left of the color panel. Upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now the upper right quadrant. Upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now the lower right quadrant. Lower left, or upper left, upper right, lower right, and lower left. Now the lower left quadrant. Upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now for the high quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the upper right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the lower right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Lower left quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the low quadrant, upper left quadrant. Upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Upper right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Lower right quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. Now to the lower left quadrant, upper left, upper right, lower right, lower left. And finally, we'll just do very close to the middle. Center of the voice, center of the color panel, center of the high panel, center of the low panel, voice low center, voice color panel center, color panel high center, low high center, and finally the very center of the IntelliPan.